Uncharted: The Lost Legacy. This time, we get to team up with Chloe Fraser, a fan-favorite treasure hunter, as she's joined by Nadine Ross, a mercenary from Uncharted 4. What's cool about this duo is how their dynamic grows throughout the game, making every moment feel personal and compelling. Right from the start, the game does an excellent job of blending action and exploration. You'll be jumping, climbing, and swinging through environments that are both breathtaking and filled with surprises. Whether you're sneaking past enemies, solving puzzles, or just soaking in the scenery, there's always something happening. And let's be honest, finding those hidden gems and taking on the challenges feels incredibly rewarding. Combat in this game is tight, smooth, and offers a lot of ways to approach situations. You can go in guns blazing, but it's also super satisfying to sneak around, avoiding detection and using stealth. The addition of silenced weapons adds a cool strategic layer, especially when you're trying to outsmart the enemy rather than outgun them. It really lets you choose your playstyle, whether you're all about action or more about being the sneaky hero. Now, the environments themselves are like playgrounds for these two characters. There's this great balance of open spaces where you can really explore and take your time. And then there are these narrow, tense spots that make your heart race. It's a mix that keeps things fresh, so you're never stuck in one mode for too long. There's something ridiculously cool about hitting the brakes on a sports car, flipping a switch, and suddenly you're soaring through the skies in a stunt plane, all without a single loading screen breaking the flow. That's the kind of madness that makes The Crew 2 stand out right from the first few minutes. This isn't your usual racing game where you stick to one kind of machine or one stretch of road. The Crew 2 throws open the entire US map and lets you roam wild across highways, rivers, and skies, swapping between cars, boats, and planes anytime you feel like shaking things up. One moment you're cutting through Miami's sunlit streets in a sleek hypercar. The next, you're splashing through the Mississippi in a powerboat. And before you know it, you've traded water for altitude and you're flipping loops above the Rocky Mountains. The best part about this game is how smooth and fun that switcheroo system feels. There's no slow menus or awkward waiting. You just snap your fingers, hit a button, and your vehicle pops into place, ready to go. That little feature alone turns exploring the map into an addictive loop because the more you bounce between vehicles, the more you want to push the world's limits and find new spots to mess around. Events in the game aren't just set up for one type of racer either. The variety is nuts. One day you'll be chasing a finish line through a twisting street circuit, and the next you're hammering an off-road buggy across the desert or carving perfect lines through air race checkpoints. Resident Evil Village picks up the action in a terrifying snow-covered village where danger lurks at every corner. Ethan Winters is back, and this time he's up against a whole new level of twisted creatures and monstrous foes. From towering, monstrous enemies to creepy, unsettling environments, there's no shortage of surprises, and it's easy to see why this entry stands out in the series. What really makes it shine is how it balances action with horror. You're constantly scavenging for resources, managing your inventory, and figuring out how to survive each encounter. It's not just about blasting through enemies, but about choosing when to fight and when to run. Each decision counts, especially when ammo and health are in limited supply, making every moment feel tense and meaningful. This dynamic keeps you on the edge of your seat, constantly evaluating whether to fight, flee, or conserve precious resources. One of the coolest additions is the Duke, a mysterious merchant who shows up throughout the game. He's not just there to sell you stuff. He's part of the world's strange charm. You'll find yourself stopping by to grab upgrades, weapons, and occasionally a meal. Yep, you can even cook in this game, and it's not just for fun. The buffs from meals can make a huge difference when facing tougher foes. The environments are also a big part of the fun. There's a variety of places to explore, from creepy castles to dense forests, and each location has its own vibe. Middle-earth: Shadow of War. This one takes everything that made its predecessor so addictive and cranks it up to a whole new level. The combat is faster, the world is bigger, and the enemies, they're not just mindless grunts. Thanks to that incredibly deep nemesis system, every encounter feels personal, and no two battles play out the same way. One moment, there's an orc swearing vengeance. The next, it's turning into a full-blown rivalry that lasts for hours. The feeling of taking over strongholds and leading an entire army is where things really shine. Instead of being a lone warrior cutting through waves of enemies, it's all about commanding troops, planning strategic assaults, and watching a carefully built army grow stronger with every victory. The orcs under command aren't just faceless soldiers either. Each one has personality, strengths, and sometimes a little too much attitude. Upgrading skills and gear keeps the gameplay fresh, letting battles stay engaging no matter how far in things get. There's something satisfying about unlocking new abilities that make slicing through enemies even more fluid. Whether it's stealthy assassinations, brutal executions, or raining arrows from above, every fight plays out with a perfect mix of strategy and chaos. The world itself is a dangerous playground, full of different regions to explore. Every area has its own threats, opportunities, and of course, a never-ending supply of orcs ready to either join up or cause trouble. Horizon Zero Dawn is like stepping into a world where nature and futuristic tech just click. Picture this, a vast open world filled with towering mechanical creatures and lush landscapes, with Aloy as your fearless guide. You won't find any boring old robots here. These machines are like the apex predators of the future, each one with its own quirks, and you'll need to figure out how to deal with them. Some of these bots are big and bad, while others are sneaky and fast, so strategy becomes your best friend. As Aloy, you're not just hunting down these creatures, though. Let's be real, it's really fun to take them down with some precision archery. You'll also be exploring ancient ruins, collecting resources, and crafting some cool gear. Crafting is a huge part of this game. You'll be constantly on the lookout for materials to upgrade your weapons, build traps, or make sure you have the right ammo. It's all about thinking ahead, using your environment, and planning your next move. The combat system is one of those that feels simple enough for anyone to pick up, but deep enough to keep you on your toes. You'll quickly realize that blasting away doesn't always cut it. It's about learning your enemy, exploiting weaknesses, and using everything you've got at your disposal. Whether that's a well-placed trap, some explosive arrows, or just outsmarting the machines. The real fun comes from taking down a big machine that looks impossible at first, but with patience and strategy, you come out on top. Elden Ring is a game that brings everything together in one massive, beautifully crafted experience. Imagine a world that feels alive, packed with secrets, epic landscapes, and a sense of adventure that makes you want to explore every nook and cranny. It's one of those games that pulls you in and doesn't let go, leaving you eager to see what's over the next hill or behind that eerie door. One of the coolest things about this game is the freedom it gives you. The open world is huge, like really huge, and it's all yours to explore. No hand-holding here, just you, your character, and a world full of surprises. You can tackle things however you want. Want to head straight for the main quest? Go for it. Prefer to take your time, discovering hidden caves, battling bosses, and finding new gear. That's an option too. It's all about creating your own journey. And then, there's the combat. Oh boy, it's tough, but in the best way possible. Every fight feels meaningful, and it really makes you think about your next move. Whether you're swinging swords, shooting arrows, or casting powerful magic, you've got to time things right and stay on your toes. The challenge is there, but that's what makes the victories feel so satisfying. It's a dance of strategy, patience, and a bit of skill, and it's what keeps you coming back for more. Customization is another win. You can really make your character your own. Fallout 76. This one's all about stepping into a post-apocalyptic world with a twist. It's not just you against the wasteland anymore. Instead of wandering solo through ruins and radiation, now you've got the option to do it alongside others, which makes everything feel way more unpredictable and interesting. Whether you're bumping into friendly strangers, trading supplies, or teaming up to take down some massive mutated threat, it's a world that actually feels alive even after the bombs dropped. The setup drops you into a version of America where civilization is trying to rebuild, which means a lot of scavenging, crafting, and occasionally shooting something very angry in the face. There's always something weird or unexpected going on, and the game isn't shy about throwing bizarre creatures, wild factions, and strange tech at you. It's the kind of setting that makes wandering off the path genuinely rewarding, because who knows what kind of twisted bunker or haunted amusement park you'll stumble into next. The crafting and base building systems give you a ton of freedom. You can whip up your own little safe zone out in the wild, deck it out however you like, and turn it into a cozy home between your adventures. There's something pretty satisfying about returning to your hand-built shelter after getting into all kinds of chaos out in the world. And with regular updates and events, there's always a reason to check in. The developers have been adding new features, quest lines, characters, and seasonal stuff to keep things fresh. A Way Out. This one really flips the usual co-op formula on its head. From the first minute, it's clear this isn't just a game you can play with someone, it's a game you have to play with someone. A Way Out is completely built around 2 players, and that's where all the magic happens. The way it's designed to split the screen constantly is so clever. One minute you're both doing something completely different, like one guy sneaking through a hallway while the other's in a tense conversation. And then the next minute, you're teaming up for some perfectly timed action. It's not just about helping each other out, it's about doing it in sync, sometimes without even speaking. Every section feels fresh. You're not stuck doing the same thing over and over. One moment you're stealing a truck, the next you're fishing in a stream, then suddenly you're on the run in a high-speed chase. It keeps changing things up just enough to keep you locked in, always wondering what you'll be pulling off together next. There's also something really satisfying about how it handles choice. Whether you're playing aggressively or taking the quiet approach, both players get a say. It feels like a team effort all the way through, and those small decisions ripple through the gameplay in cool ways. The pacing is another strong point. It doesn't stretch anything out too long. Each scene knows when to start, when to peak, and when to wrap up. It's got this rhythm that keeps things moving, pulling you deeper into the ride without feeling like it's dragging its feet. Metal Gear Solid 5: The Phantom Pain. This one is just pure stealth sandbox goodness. It's the kind of game where sneaking around isn't just an option, it's an art form. There's something super satisfying about crawling through the dirt, scoping out a heavily guarded base, and figuring out the perfect way to pick it apart without setting off alarms. And even when things go off the rails, it never feels frustrating. It just turns into controlled chaos in the best way possible. What really stands out is how much freedom it gives you. You're not locked into one style or one path, and if a mission feels too tricky one way, there's always another way to tackle it. Maybe it's dropping in at night, maybe it's using a buddy with unique abilities, or maybe it's calling in some high-tech gear. Everything's so open and flexible that playing around with strategies becomes half the fun. The whole base management system adds another layer that keeps pulling you back in. Sending your crew out on missions, developing new gadgets, upgrading your operations. There's always something to mess with in between field missions. It's got that loop where the more you explore and experiment, the stronger and more equipped you become for the next challenge. And the AI actually plays smart. Enemies start adapting if you keep using the same tricks, which keeps things interesting. Suddenly they're wearing helmets because you went headshot happy last time. Or they're patrolling with flashlights if you've been lurking in the shadows. It makes every encounter feel fresh, like the world is actively pushing back. Gears 5 drops you into a world that's all about intense combat, explosive action, and tough decisions. You're not just shooting your way through enemies, you're also getting a real look at what makes these characters tick, especially Kate Diaz, who's at the heart of the story. If you've been a fan of the series, the gameplay will feel right at home. If you're new to it, get ready for a rush. Let's start with the combat. It's everything you expect from a Gears game with cover-based shooting at its core. But it's not just about hiding behind walls and popping out to take shots. You'll be working with some pretty cool tools and weapons to make sure you're always ready for whatever comes your way. From classic weapons like the Lancer to new additions that bring fresh tactics into play, there's a real sense of strategy here. The gameplay encourages you to think about your moves before diving in. Then, there's the multiplayer. Whether you're teaming up in horde mode or jumping into the fast-paced competitive matches, the fun never really stops. You can squad up with friends or random players, and the action can get pretty wild. Escape mode is a standout here, offering a new kind of challenge where you and your team have to work together to clear out areas while avoiding swarms of enemies. It's chaotic, fun, and totally rewarding. But let's talk about the progression for a second. The game's got some solid progression mechanics that make you feel like you're always moving forward. Far Cry Primal. This one throws you straight into the Stone Age, and somehow it just works. No cars, no guns, no radios blaring in the background. Just spears, clubs, wild animals, and pure survival. It's raw, wild, and surprisingly addicting in the best kind of way. There's something so satisfying about crafting weapons out of sticks and stones and watching them actually do some serious damage. The best part is how everything revolves around nature. It's not just background decoration. It matters. Trees, rocks, fire, animals. You end up paying attention to everything because you kind of have to. Even the smallest resource ends up being useful, and the whole world feels alive with danger and opportunity. And that owl, let's just say it's way more than just a bird. It's like your prehistoric drone buddy, and it's awesome. Taming animals turns out to be way more fun than expected. Once you figure out how it works, suddenly you're rolling with a pack of wolves or a massive beast right by your side. And these animals aren't just cosmetic, they actually help out in smart ways. Sneaking through tall grass with a saber-toothed cat by your side never stops being cool. Upgrading the village and unlocking new skills gives everything a nice sense of progress. There's always something to work toward. Maybe it's better gear, maybe it's a new beast companion, maybe it's just expanding your home base. Whatever it is, the game constantly gives little nudges forward without ever feeling like a grind. The Surge. This one hits with that gritty sci-fi energy that just doesn't let go. It drops you into a world that feels rough, worn down, and barely holding itself together, yet somehow it's incredibly fun to be a part of. The big hook is all about mech-enhanced combat, and there's this super cool system that lets you target enemy limbs and strategically rip off gear. Yeah, it sounds brutal, and it kind of is, but in the best way possible. The whole combat loop is tight. Every encounter feels intense, like you're constantly calculating your next move. You don't just swing wildly, you commit. Timing matters, dodging matters, and if you're not paying attention, it'll slap you around pretty quick. But once you start to get the rhythm, it really clicks. That moment when you perfectly execute a combo and slice off exactly the part you need, so satisfying. One of the most unique parts is how you collect upgrades. Instead of just looting a chest or grabbing drops, you have to earn it by taking down enemies in specific ways. Want that new arm piece? Go for the arm. Need a better helmet? Aim for the head. It adds a layer of strategy that feels fresh, and it keeps things from getting stale. You're always on the lookout, always thinking one step ahead. What makes it stand out even more is the progression system. The way this game mixes real-time action right into turn-based combat is just pure genius. 1 second you're lining up your next move, the next you're locked into a split-second dodge or blocking an attack that could ruin your whole plan. That's the kind of flow that Claire Obscure Expedition 33 leans into so well, and it makes every single encounter way more intense than just picking attacks from a menu. There's something super addictive about the way the fights push you to stay sharp. Especially when it's not just about what attack you pick, but also about nailing the timing when you finally pull it off. The mix of strategy and fast reaction creates this rhythm where fights feel almost like a dance, one where getting too comfortable can get you wrecked. The character system adds even more fun, especially with the Pictos you can equip. These little upgrades don't just tweak numbers, they actually give you the space to shape your style and push specific strengths. Whether you want to go all in on attack power or focus on survivability, there's room to experiment without it feeling like you're being punished for not picking the right setup. Exploring the world also never feels like empty wandering, mostly because every corner and path has the potential to hide something worth finding. Optional fights, secret areas, clever little side paths, there's always a good excuse to check out the edges instead of rushing through the main route. The game really leans into rewarding curiosity. The way enemies are designed plays right into the strengths of the combat, too. Crash Bandicoot 4. It's like getting that nostalgia hit, but with a bunch of new tricks up its sleeve. The platforming is just as tight as ever. The levels are jam-packed with those classic obstacles, from tricky jumps to sneaky enemies, and there's a real sense of flow that keeps you going. The quantum masks are a game changer. Each one has its own power that completely alters the way you tackle challenges. It's like getting a new superpower with every level, and it makes every stage feel exciting and different. Whether you're flipping gravity or slowing down time, those masks really shake things up and keep you on your toes. You'll also be jumping between a few different characters, and it's not just Crash and Coco. The others each bring something unique to the table. Whether it's Cortex with his ray gun or Tawna's grappling hook, they all have their own little spin on the action, so it's not just the same old stuff repeated. It adds a bit of spice to the formula and makes each character's levels feel unique. What really keeps you hooked is how replayable everything is. If you're all about chasing those perfect runs, there's a lot of opportunities to go back and hit those extra goals, grab all the collectibles, and see how fast you can race through a level. It's the kind of game that encourages you to keep coming back for more, whether you're after a perfect time trial or hunting for every little gem. The way it all comes together is like this perfect blend of old school platforming charm with enough fresh ideas to keep you interested. Mafia 2. This one hits that sweet spot between cinematic drama and solid gameplay. It's like stepping into a classic mobster movie where everything feels larger than life, but still grounded in that gritty, day-to-day survival kind of way. The moment it drops you into Empire Bay, it's got that swagger old-school cars, smoky diners, trench coats, and the feeling that someone's always watching from the shadows. It's a city full of attitude, and every corner feels like it's hiding a story. The action leans into that satisfying mix of tactical cover shooting and straight-up explosive moments. There's a nice balance. Things never feel over the top, but there's definitely some punch when the bullets start flying, and the cover system does its job well, letting you play it smart rather than running and guns blazing every time. The gunplay itself has that gritty heft to it, and switching between different weapons has just enough variety to keep things fresh throughout. What really brings the world together is the day-to-day life vibe baked into everything. Whether you're fueling up at a gas station or changing your outfit to lay low, those little interactions make it feel more like you're living in this world rather than just passing through it. It's not just a city you explore, it's one you have to respect because it plays by its own rules. The driving feels authentic too, with cars from the era that don't exactly handle like modern sports cars, but that's part of the charm. The Callisto Protocol. If you're into creepy corridors, things skittering in the dark, and that, wait, did something just move feeling, this one delivers the goods hard. It's basically a roller coaster ride through a space prison gone horribly wrong, and you're right in the middle of it with nothing but a stun baton, bad luck, and sheer stubbornness to keep you alive. Combat here is gritty, up close, and surprisingly brutal. It's not your usual spray and pray shooter. Instead, it's more like dodge, whack, panic, repeat. Super physical and intense. There's a real weight to every swing of your weapon, and when enemies get close, which they will, you feel it. The game wants you to get your hands dirty, and honestly, it's kind of satisfying in a I didn't know I liked melee this much kind of way. But here's the fun part. It's not just about smacking monsters. There's this cool gravity gun called the GRP, and it lets you pick things and enemies up and toss them into hazards. Picture grabbing a mutated space inmate and hurling them into spinning machinery. It never gets old. It turns the environment into a playground of very unsafe ideas, and that's part of what makes it fun. There's a nice mix of tense exploration, crafting, and oh no moments, but it never tips into overwhelming territory. It respects the fact that you might need to breathe between heart-pounding encounters before throwing another nightmare your way. Silent Hill 2 Remake brings a fresh and thrilling take on a classic, diving deep into the heart of survival horror with a modern twist. This remake isn't just about revamping visuals. It's about creating that same sense of dread and immersion that made the original such an unforgettable experience. The over-the-shoulder camera shifts the combat experience, giving you that intense up-close feeling when you're facing off against the twisted horrors lurking in the fog. The gameplay has been fine-tuned to keep things fresh, with a more dynamic combat system that lets you take on the enemies with an improved arsenal of weapons. Whether you prefer blasting through foes with a firearm or getting up close with melee weapons, there's a real satisfaction in every encounter. The new camera angles make things more intense, adding a layer of tension when you're exploring tight corridors or encountering something unexpectedly horrifying. The environments feel alive and chilling. With each corner you turn, there's this lingering sense of what's around the next one. It's that perfect balance between exploration and panic. You'll want to search every nook and cranny, uncovering hidden secrets, items, and more. This isn't a linear experience. It's a game that lets you really get immersed in its world. What makes it even better is how the game's choices matter. Depending on your actions, you'll experience different outcomes, encouraging you to replay the game and see what else you can uncover. Metro Exodus. Metro Exodus is a game that really knows how to mix things up. It's a perfect blend of action, survival, and a touch of mystery as you venture through the harsh, post-apocalyptic world. From the moment you hop on your train and leave the safety of the metro tunnels, you're thrown into a whole new world. One that's vast, open, and packed with danger and surprises. No more tiny, claustrophobic corridors. Now you've got vast landscapes to explore, filled with all sorts of challenges. You're still in the shoes of Artyom, but this time, things feel a lot bigger. The game takes you on a journey through Russia with huge open-world areas to check out. It's all about survival, so you'll spend a lot of time scavenging, crafting, and making sure you've got the right tools for whatever the world throws at you. Whether you're crafting ammo or figuring out how to sneak past a massive mutant, every decision feels important. There's a lot of tension when you're trying to make sure you've got enough resources to make it through the day. Now, let's talk about the fun part, combat. You can go full guns blazing, but the game really shines when you try to sneak your way around. There's something super satisfying about silently taking out a group of enemies without ever being noticed. Of course, there's always the option to go in loud and just unload, but honestly, the stealth feels way more rewarding. You'll find yourself customizing weapons to match your style, whether that's silenced pistols or sniper rifles. Cyberpunk 2077 is an absolute whirlwind of a game. Picture this, you're in a neon-lit, futuristic city where the line between human and machine is so blurry, you might as well throw a wrench in it and call it a day. The city, full of chaos and endless possibilities, is the perfect playground for a game that's all about choices, freedom, and crazy combat. Right from the start, you're dropped into a sprawling world that's alive with activity. There's always something happening, from high-speed chases to shady deals, and everything feels packed with detail. Whether you're walking down the street or zipping through the city in a slick car, it's a world that keeps pulling you in. But what really stands out is how the game gives you the freedom to approach situations however you want. Want to sneak through a mission, hacking everything in your path? Go for it. Feel like going in all guns blazing? You can totally do that too. The beauty of it all is how customizable your approach is, with each playthrough feeling a bit different based on the decisions you make. The combat? Oh, it's intense. Whether you're engaging in tight gunfights or using cool cybernetic powers, there's no shortage of ways to take down enemies. Each weapon and piece of tech you get your hands on has its own little flair, and there's something satisfying about mixing and matching your gear to find what works best for you. You can even get into hacking. There's a real sense of power when you can shut down security systems or take control of enemy tech from a distance. Doom Eternal. This one doesn't slow down. It doesn't hold your hand. It just throws you straight into the chaos and expects you to thrive in it. And honestly, that's half the fun. From the very first moment, everything is sharp, fast, and ridiculously satisfying. Movement feels like it's been cranked to 11. Dashing, double jumping, swinging off bars, wall climbing. It's like being in the middle of a non-stop action movie where you never run out of adrenaline. Combat is where things really shine. There's this dance you get into, juggling weapons, abilities, and movement. It never feels repetitive because the game keeps encouraging different tactics. Flame belch one group, chainsaw another for ammo, glory kill the next for health. It's like a chaotic rhythm that somehow makes perfect sense. And when you get into that flow, it just clicks in the most exciting way. There's also something kind of brilliant about how the weapons are handled. Each one has its own role, but none of them feel like filler. Everything in your arsenal has purpose, and when you start mastering the combinations, the entire combat loop becomes this incredibly tight, rewarding experience, and the game keeps you honest. If you try to coast, it will absolutely punish you. but when you rise to the challenge, it feels so good. The pacing is wild too. It's intense, but it's broken up just enough to let you breathe.